I am the disabled guy with the disabled life. That podcast is going to be about disabled issues and other things that interest me and others from the disabled community. I did this so that people understand what we go through in life and what we do, because a lot of what we do, it is interesting. I'm also going to talk a little bit about ADA and things of that nature. It's something that's very important to me and something that I learned a lot about when I did an episode. I'm going to talk more about it. Okay. This podcast, it's going to come out at 10 p.m. Saturday and Wednesday. So that's when that's when I think most people listen. Most people listen at night or have the episodes there for the daytime. So let me stop this. Stop. What I'm going to talk about today is something I found on social media. Something that I realize is wrong. At least in my opinion, is wrong. Okay, let me explain. I, for one, have CP or cerebral palsy, as they say. That is a brain injury from birth. Due to the disability, due to the nature of it being a brain injury, it's a lack of action brain injury. You have different degrees of it depending on how much of the brain is affected, and it affects different things. Like, okay, I know a friend of mine that I went to school with. He has cerebral palsy too. All he has is a minor limp, but it is cerebral palsy. He walks normally, he drives, all those things. So, now, let's talk about me for a bit. I walk around with a walker. I use a wheelchair for distance. But if I choose to go to a place where it's inconvenient, like a restaurant or something, to use a wheelchair, I will use my walker. That's no problem. I walk into restaurants, I do those things. I've been into, when I was doing spiritual classes, metaphysics classes, I used to go in there walking because it was just easier, and I was able to sit where I wanted to sit. So that's that. Okay. So, and a lot of people cannot talk. So I also, when I went to a mall one day, I'm also an amateur radio operator. When I went to a mall one day, a person didn't tell me, "Oh, you can talk." I said, "Yes, I can talk." But I'm seeing this because in social media, what I'm seeing in YouTube, it mostly is the people that have cerebral palsy don't have speech impairment, and it's very hard to speak. It's very hard for them to speak. So some of them speak, some of them are nonverbal. So they have a talking aid, a computer that talks to them. The way those work is you tap on something and it tells you a sentence, your name, your phone number, whatever the case may be. So my thing is, like I was explaining to you. Oh, and I have another friend that is in a wheelchair full time, has a speech impairment, whatever. Okay, so to me, it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. It's not something that we're all the same. Things are different. For example, in the muscular dystrophy family, there's a couple of them. They are not their weaknesses. A lot of cerebral palsy is what it is. What I mean by is what it is that it doesn't get any better or it doesn't get any worse. But what they will do is, as children, we have a lot of surgeries because they want to make us as improved as possible. change their spasticity, what, etc., etc. But what I'm saying is the spectrum, because all cerebral palsy people are not the same. We're all different. We have all kinds of different nuances to our cerebral palsy. So it's important to me. Sorry if you hear dishes. It's my mom doing dishes in the background there. No problem. So as I was saying, there's a thought. So this is why. This is what I'm saying. It's a lot. It's the spectrum. It's not all one. It's not one thing. It's not one thing. Let me give you an example. So sometimes people say, "Oh, you can't talk." Let me give you another example. Sometimes you don't see us day to day. Sometimes you see something day to day. When I was in high school, I had to go in my wheelchair from the time I got in to leave my house to the time I got home. But there's one thing I do. There's one time I did stand, and I'm able to stand. I'll tell you a short story on that one. Okay. The way I go to the restroom, since I have the ability to stand up, what I will do is I don't use the accessible stall because it's the more difficult to use. It's because the handrail is on the right side of the wall. I am right-handed, so it's very confusing and hard for my body to change. So what I do, let me describe what it looks like for the my female audience here that they don't know. Okay, when you go into the male restroom, public restroom, you have the stalls, and you also have what they call urinals. So the urinals have a tube that pumps water from the wall down the tube into the urinal when you flush it. So that part of the urinal is clean as a tube. So I would grab the pipe. I would grab the pipe, hold onto it with my right hand, hold onto it with my left hand, and work my right hand to use the restroom. And here's the kicker to the story. Sorry if I had to explain that so you guys would understand what I'm talking about. Here's the kicker. A friend of mine goes, "Oh, you can stand up." I said, "Yeah," because he never saw me do that, because he saw me in school all the time, and he didn't see the fact that I was walking. The fact that I was standing up. So this is unusual for me. The reason I'm telling you is because I'm seeing a lot of this on social media. It is not something that I'm happy with, but here we are. I've been catching myself doing a lot of this, dispelling misconceptions. And with that, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my episodes. My episodes will come out Monday and Wednesday. You can listen to me on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and many others, including iHeartRadio. The reason I've done this podcast is to give people a voice, because I think that the disabled community is missing a voice. But I am in a unique position of being able to afford minimal equipment to do this. I'm going to give you my email address. If you want to contact me, is ke4key@gmail.com. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, at The Disabled Guy, and in a few other places where I put my episodes out on Facebook too. With that, thank you for listening.